Hey, I saw that box that you had in your Instagram. Is that a robot?
Yeah, that's a robot.
That's what it said. Consciousness not included. I'm like, I see what you're doing here.
What's in the box?
What's in the box, man? What's in the box?
That's a great movie, by the way.
Great movie. It's a dark movie.
Yeah, no, it's a legged robot, and I've been involved with those a lot recently, and I'm going to explore. I was going to bring it here, but I thought this is the wrong. The other robot I have is the wrong atmosphere.
Is it a Boston Dynamics one?
So I had a lot of. I've been closely working with Boston Dynamics, and how do I put it? I put a lot of my love into what they're doing for a few years. I love the engineers there. We're close. We like each other.
But I hear a but comment.
Let me politely say that they're also a company that are trying to make money, and so there's a marketing team, there's PR, and they were starting getting in the way of engineers. And whenever marketing people get in the way of engineering, I'm out. And so there's a lot of robotics companies. It was kind of heartbreaking for me because how much I love that company.
In what way did they get in the way?
So very specifically, I'm interested in the problem of human-robot interaction, where there's this beautiful dance between a human and a robot. The same way you have a dog that you love playing with, there's a magic there. Like, I don't know, there's an excitement when Marshall looks at you and looks away and then looks at you again. And like just that excitement, I want to understand how we can engineer that into our AI systems. So that's called human-robot interaction. From a perspective of Boston Dynamics, they want a machine that doesn't have anything to do with humans. They want a machine that patrols a factory looking for anything dangerous, or does surveillance on a factory floor, or helps in dangerous environments where it's too dangerous for humans, so you want a robot to do the work. So that you want always there to be a distance between a human and a robot. For me, I'm interested in exploring when human and robot are close together. And I think that's actually really important to understand for safety as well. So robots should be able to detect and predict the movement of humans really well in order to avoid hurting them accidentally. Like, that's a robotics AI problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's predicting the movement of pedestrians, predicting the movement of humans, whether it's the human body or the human hand on the factory floor. You have to understand the mind of humans. They don't move like billiard balls. They move in unpredictable, complicated ways, or rather predictable but complicated ways. And that's the problem of human-robot interaction. I think is beautiful. Not very many people are really studying it carefully, and I wanted to study it carefully. One of the things I did, and you always learn this mistake the hard way, is I asked for permission on everything. The right way to do it is just to do it and apologize later. So
permission for what kind of actions?
So permission for the kind of things I wanted to do. So
right.
I asked for permission to, on video, touch Spot.
Touch it?
Yeah, like as a human. So I wanted Spot to understand when a human touches it and not, and using only vision, only
right,
camera.
Because there's no sensors that can detect touch, right?
Right. So have a sense where where gestures and touch can be part of the communication between the robot and the human. Telling them, the Boston Dynamics folks, that made them very nervous. They know I know what I'm doing, but they also know I'm starting to give less and less fucks. And they get nervous about that because they see the positivity. I love people. I love robots. I want to show the positive stuff. I want to inspire and educate the world. But they're like, is there some evil thing he's going to do?
What do they think you're going to do?
Well, it's like they only have stuff to lose. Is from their perspective. Okay, from my perspective, I love Boston Dynamics. I want to show off some awesome stuff.
Right.
With probably one of the greatest engineering feats in the space of robotics ever, which is both Atlas, the bipedal robot, and the Spot, the legged robots. I don't know. From my perspective, it's a win-win. From their perspective, they got nervous. This is
I don't understand why they would get nervous about touching the robot. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Because they're a business, they're trying to sell a lot of robots to companies that have zero interest in touching. I think the future of their robot requires them to understand what it's like for a robot to be close to a human being.
So you're looking at it in terms of like a consumer product?
It's like in the gray area between industry and consumer. So like, a factory worker is a kind of consumer. So like more and more, I think Boston Dynamics need to pivot that way in order to be a successful, profitable business. They were currently purchased by, I think, Hyundai, like a large company. So they're, I think, trying to justify their worth, all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure how businesses work. All I know is when marketing people get in the way of great engineering, you run into problems. This is why, sorry to interrupt, why
interrupt you.
Tesla, I'm a huge fan of what Elon is doing. He's not letting marketing get in the way of great engineering. There's very little marketing people at Tesla, and most of the ones that do marketing, first of all, Elon does great marketing on his Twitter, but also the Tesla Twitter is run really well marketing-wise. They understand that to highlight the brilliance of a particular product, you have to highlight the engineering. You have to highlight the design, and that means you don't want to get in the way of the engineers and the designers.
Well, here's the best example of that. There's 0 advertisements for Tesla, and is the #1 selling car in America. There you go.
Yeah.
It's just brilliantly made. That's all you need to know. I mean, everyone knows. You drive it, you're like, holy shit. You see it. It's wild. You see the giant screen, and you realize that it can move that fast with no sound. It's pretty phenomenal stuff. When you consider the fact that think about most cars that are sold in America. You're inundated with advertisement. Whether it's Cadillac or, Ford or, whatever. There's constant ads. They make great cars, don't get me wrong. But Tesla doesn't have any ads, and they sell more than anybody, which is pretty incredible.
Create a product that people love, and it's word of mouth from there.
I think it's also connected to Elon, too. I don't think it would be as successful if it wasn't connected to such a bizarre Tony Stark type character, because he's such a unique cultural. He's an iconic figure. He's not a normal human. It's like he's our super genius.
Well, it's interesting to analyze him, right? Like, are all the memes about Doge useful, or are they productive or counterproductive? Like, is the humor help advertise SpaceX and Tesla, or does it destroy them? Is the funding secured 420 help or hurt? Does him smoking weed on your show and then saying oops, does that help or hurt? I don't know. But
it does not hurt.
Yeah, it feels like it helps.
How could it help? I mean, how could it hurt if the company's doing so well? Like, you tell me it'd be doing even better? That sounds crazy.
Well, most CEOs would say yes.
They're wrong.
Right. That's what the sense is. They're wrong, but that means you have to rethink the way you run companies. You have to be more open. You have to have more fun. You have to be more crazy.
But you have to be Elon Musk. So that's the thing. You can't just get another person to do it that way. You have to be that guy.
Being crazy is not enough.
Well, his whole thing is his love of Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's genuine.
Genuine love of Spaceballs. Yeah. The reason why he created the flamethrower, not a flamethrower, the reason why he created the new Model S and called it the Plaid. This is all Spaceball stuff. He even changed the shape of his rocket to look more like Spaceballs. I mean, it doesn't even make sense.
Awesome. It's awesome.
But again, you're not going to recreate that artificially. Like, it has to actually genuinely, naturally, organically be that guy, and that's who he is.
But you have to allow people like that to rise to the top in all spaces of leadership. Like I see in politics, like, I don't know, Andrew Yang, somebody like that, somebody who doesn't look like the past. And Elon Musk certainly doesn't look like the past in terms of CEOs. By the way, I know you're not a huge fan of autopilot or don't use it very often, but they have, because I want to squeeze in AI a little bit, they have Autonomy Day in a few days, Tesla does, and they're going to, they've been doing, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but they've been doing a lot of interesting stuff on the, autonomous driving side. So one of the crazy things they're doing that I never thought would be possible is to use vision only for their FSD, for their autopilot, meaning cameras only. Talking about breaking with the ways of the past. So in the past, you always have radar, or if you have more, quote-unquote, reliable sensors for emergency situations, for for like emergency braking. So here, Tesla is using only cameras, so only vision. The logic there is our roads are all designed for human eyes, therefore you should be able to drive with only visual information. The problem is with rain, with fog, with all those conditions, with night, how are you going to be able to do it? And the fact that they're doing so much more successful than I would expect is quite incredible from an AI perspective. And they're just going full steam ahead there with something called Dojo, which is, I don't know if you know how this whole process works, but they're basically deploying a version of autopilot software to a fleet of vehicles. Those cars are driving, sometime by humans, sometime by AI. And then whenever AI runs into trouble, that's a little data point that then is sent back to the mothership. And then it retrains the system, and the system gets smarter and smarter, and then redeploys a smarter version. So there's this loop. They call it the data engine. This loop, it sounds maybe trivial, but it's one of the first large-scale implementation of an AI system in the world that does this kind of loop. So it's not, oftentimes when you deploy these kinds of systems, you deploy them, and the time between versions is like years. You have to basically buy a new smartphone, something like that. Here, the time between new versions is every week. I think every Friday they're releasing a new version, something like that, which is it's a revolutionary idea. It sounds ridiculously simple, but it's revolutionary in that as opposed to deploying a perfect system, you deploy a system that's not perfect, and then it improves over time and converges towards something that's safer than human drivers. That's fascinating. And then the Dojo computer is they're building their own huge system that's doing the training. So to train neural networks or AI systems, you have to have specialized hardware. So Elon, this is another really interesting lesson for companies, especially car companies. As opposed to outsourcing the work to other companies, you do it all in-house. So if you look at the history of Tesla, they've at first it was distributed across other suppliers and so on, but they're doing more and more and more in-house. I think that the dream is you have a single factory, like here, the Giga in Austin, Texas, where the input is raw materials and the output is a finished car. And they're doing the same thing with the AI. They don't want to use GPUs and computers from somebody else. They want to have that in-house. So the whole thing is like this organism that takes in raw materials and produces intelligent vehicles.
I love that he called it Dojo.
Dojo, yeah.
Yeah.
The guy has a knack for names. Some of them are ridiculous, but that's the point.
What's the most ridiculous one?
So a lot of references to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah? Like
right.
what?
I'm trying to think. The naming of the ships, of the ships that catch the rockets. I'm blanking on their names. It's like I Love You Too or something like that. It's a references to all of these sci-fi books, which, by the way, I've been like